It's Friday afternoon in Sydney, Australia, and it's time for Friday Beers with Marc and Stuart. I'm Marc, this is Stu.
Yeah.
And Stu, just to jump straight into it, we should do a little good cop, bad cop about all the panic around Corona.
Right.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you?
If you've been watching the news just lately, you would think that the world is about to come to an end. Now, I'm not so sure. Years ago, I read a book which I recommend every nervous Nelly around the world should read at the moment. It's called The Coming Plague by Laurie Garrett. Now, 800 pages, so by the time you finish it, there probably won't be a coronavirus anymore. The virus will have burnt itself out.
Or you're dead. One or the other.
Right. But the history of these kind of epidemics is they rage around the world for a short period of time and then just stop. That's the first point. So I predict by about June this year, coronavirus will be history.
So let me make it clear. You're the good cop.
I'm the good cop. I think coronavirus is
Shoot, I wanted to be the good cop. All right, I'll be the bad cop.
Okay. So coronavirus is the best buying opportunity to have come along in about 15 years.
I agree, but I'm the bad cop, so I can't agree. But yeah, I see your point.
Right. So the coming plague talks about how these things will happen regularly. In a globalized world where there's 7.8 billion people on the planet, most of whom are crowded into big cities, all sorts of viruses will jump out of the jungle or wherever and suddenly kill a few people.
Right.
This one's no badder than no worser, shall we say, than a unusually
worser? I thought I was the immigrant. Yeah, worser.
This one isn't much worse than more than severe flu season, which we get every single year. So I'm a heavy buyer of stocks all around the world, wherever coronavirus is being used as an excuse as to why stocks are down at the moment.
Right, okay.
Okay, so Mark, tell us why coronavirus is something we should be afraid of.
Well, look, firstly, I think if you look at the stats on this,
Your health, sir.
The people.
It's been nice working with you before the world comes to an end.
I hope we make it to the end of this video. So, if you look at stats, for Corona, the death toll,
right,
it seems pretty high. But if you look at the stats, ages especially,
yes, right,
most of the time it's people that are sort of older, over 75,
right,
and that have an illness that was pre-existing.
Right.
So in that sense, it's no different from just a regular flu.
Right.
Of course, it's very painful for all the people involved, but it's in terms of death rate, it's probably sort of similar to what you get with a common cold or flu,
right.
With people that are older.
Right.
So anyway, I'm supposed to be the bad cop here.
The bad cop is this. I mean, SARS was.
Well, let me finish my point.
Yeah, of course.
Being a bad cop, although I want to be a good cop. The thing is, what you hear from people saying that are a bit more negative on this is that it's very hard to predict what the spillover effects would be, and the second order effects, right? So you got supply chains all disrupted now, but it's very hard to predict what will happen a couple of months down the line,
right?
With all this, so there's a case that we made, to be a bit more negative than what we're seeing in the financial markets now. Although we've seen a bit of a sell-off, but yeah, looking at what happened to SARS, but this is 17 years ago,
right?
It turned out to be a storm in the teacup.
Well, I mean, look, the other thing to be concerned about is the increased reliance on Chinese manufacturing for all sorts of economies around the world. Much more than was the case in 2003 when the China boom was just getting started, shall we say?
Right.
So that's something to worry about as well. I would think is
you were a good cop.
I'm trying to think of all the bad reasons that since you let me down on that score.
So you think this is a buying opportunity? I would actually agree with that. So anyway, not everyone agrees with us, but on that point, let's move to talk about good performers.
Right.
Stocks Down Under was launched a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
We've had some,
and you need to subscribe. Do yourself a portfolio. Sorry.
Pick it up where you need to subscribe.
And you need to subscribe. Do your portfolio a favour. We've got 4 editions a week of Stocks Down Under, 3 ideas per edition, at a mere $19.99 a month or $200 a year.
Which is 2 months for free, basically.
2 months for free. So basically, for a fraction of the cost that you're probably paying your broker right now, we can get you some better ideas than he will.
And we had some really good ideas. So we had Capital.
Capital Health is up 20%. Money 3 up 16%. WPP up 19%. These are stories that you probably will not be hearing from your broker. You heard it first from Stocks Down Under. Now, Mark, talk to me about the story you are absolutely in love with which is AfterPayTouch.
Yeah, we've been calling AfterPayTouch to go to $50 since 4 or 5 months.
Right. Where are we now?
So we called that first, I think in October.
Yep.
So we're now, so at that point, I think we're on 37. Went down to, what was it, 28?
Right.
We're now back up to 39 the other day,
Right.
40 actually. It's come off a little bit because of the Corona sell-off this week. But today with the results announcement, with the market, I was a bit confused actually. We'll show you the chart. It went up strongly first and came down to $34, and then people picked up the shares again and to close around sort of the level where slightly higher, I think. But anyway, the key message of the story is in their earnings announcement yesterday, is that if you look at the growth in retailers, in consumers, or
Yes.
people using the app, in total income, in net transaction margin, it's all exploded basically. It's going really well, especially the US. And the numbers, we won't bore you with the details, but if you look at the numbers, the metrics around US retailers,
Yes.
That's really where the growth is, and the numbers are showing it now. So we remain extremely bullish on AfterPayTouch, despite some risks that are perceived there in terms of regulation. How will it be regulated in the sense that it will sort of inhibit growth? There's always regulatory risk that new regulation will come in. But looking at the metrics right now and the reinvestment of cash, we think this is a huge growth story, and $50 is still what we think can happen with AfterPayTouch.
Right, right. We've had some other interesting ideas out this week on the published research front. Let me tell you about 3 ideas that investors will find useful. First one is Big River, BRV, developing a new gold mine in northeastern Brazil. Definitive feasibility study showing very low costs.
Had a good run since we published.
And up very strongly. So that's been one of our more recent success stories. More recently, Lithium Power International, developing the Maricunga lithium brine.
Corona popping up again.
Maricunga lithium brine deposit in Chile. Things have settled down a bit in Chile recently, so they're looking for some funding for that project. And once it goes forward, it's a very low-cost producer. Thirdly, Azure Health Technology, busy developing new formulations of vitamin E, where there's a pretty significant upside as a dietary supplement, and more importantly, as a therapy going forward.
They just relisted, right?
And in the process of relisting, raising some money through a backdoor listing. So take a look at that one.
Do you know what I'm doing on Saturday?
You're not going to the event that everyone's talking about, right?
I'm going to the event, for sure. So we've got the Mardi Gras. Is that the
well, in honor of the event of several years ago, we like to drink Coopers for our Mardi Gras special. Coopers are a South Australian brewery, still family owned, and in the days before the craft beer revolution, these guys carried the can, pardon the pun, in terms of being a strong independent producer. I'm a reasonably strong fan of the beer, and this one's not bad. XPA is relatively new. Like all of Cooper's offerings, it's
I think it's fabulous.
They carefully pick the hops so that it's quite drinkable, and don't sort of move it too far to the point where only the aficionados would like it. But I think this can find a mainstream offering, and it's part of Cooper's fighting back from where they found themselves on the wrong side of history in 2017 during the same-sex marriage debate at that time.
Right. So we'll meet you we'll see you at the Mardi Gras on Saturday.
Yeah.
Sydney.
He's looking forward to it.
Absolutely.